lovingly bring you in and make it easy for you to step out on your front door. With an open air market, you have sort of this discouraging of enjoying your own home. You can't go outside your front door because there might be a drug deal going on. You can't let your children play in the snow because there might be needles in the snow. And so, you have all of these issues of really just trying to enjoy your neighborhood. And the way that everything has been set up makes it very difficult. I'm Kristen Cushman-Smith. Our program here in Rochester, New York is called Project Clean, which stands for Community Law Enforcement and Assistance Network. We started in 2017. Our organization works in a neighborhood that is mainly Hispanic. Our neighborhood is the El Camino neighborhood in the central city of Rochester. It's been a Hispanic neighborhood for, I want to say, probably maybe 50 to 60 years. It has historically been the immigrant location within the city. During the Great Migration of the 50s, all the Puerto Ricans came, and so we have a huge Hispanic population here in the city. My organization, Ibero-American Development Corporation, works in the El Camino neighborhood. We are actually a housing development organization, so we're kind of an outlier when it comes to BCGI projects because we aren't a law enforcement partner or a government agency. We do affordable housing. We're building 104 units right now in the El Camino neighborhood. My department, the community engagement department, does a lot of work specifically regarding the open air heroin market that is in the El Camino neighborhood. There's always been heroin here in the El Camino neighborhood, but it didn't really become the exacerbated open air market until about 2015. That's really when the opioid crisis started to really ramp up here, and the county itself wasn't even collecting overdose information until probably late 2017. We didn't really have a lot of place-based information about how saturated it was until we were starting to count. Then we were finding it was pretty significant. And the proximity of the market to the main thoroughfare through the city, which is Clinton Avenue. So there's this long-standing historic market. There's easy access to this location from major thoroughfares all through the state. And it becomes sort of regionally known as a location to easily score heroin. The majority of the population using in the target area is actually from outside the target area. We do have users in the target area who are of the population of the target area, but we have a lot of visitors because our population in the target area is majority, it's like 53% single African-American women, and overwhelmingly it's, middle-aged men. 70% in the target area was like 35 to 45-year-old white men who don't live in the city. In 2012, 2013, the mayor of the city came through and knocked down like hundreds of vacant homes and these properties that were just becoming zombie properties. So you sort of traded one problem for another. When you have vacancy and you have this lack of eyes and ears to sort of monitor the situation, you have people sort of running amok. So there's all this vacancy in the target area, and there's a neighborhood who's essentially become accustomed, unfortunately is the word, like the amount of use that goes on in the area is so regular that they become sort of normalized to it, and which is obviously victimization of the people that live in the neighborhood. So it had been law enforcement policy straight from the district attorney's mouth was, we do not chase drugs. So the policy of the law enforcement in the area essentially discouraged this, like following up on the offenses that were going on in the target area. So you'd get all these residents calling about drug dealing and all this activity going around their homes and needles. And you get a law enforcement agency who is unresponsive. Like, we don't chase drugs. And so we have this perfect storm of vacancy and apathy on part of the residents in the area, and law enforcement having this no hands-on approach to handling the open air heroin market, and it just exploded. So the county started counting at the end of 2017. And even then, it was probably another year until they had sort of agreed on a way to count them for all the partners like across our region. It took some getting used to, but right now the way that we count overdoses here in our county is touches with law enforcement or emergency services. So it is I would call a soft number. We're not collecting information from actual users who are overdosing. These are individuals who connect with an ambulance or a police officer, and that entity captures that there was an overdose that occurred. In 2018, there were a total of 1,133 overdoses in our county and city. Of that percentage, 8% occurred in the target area, and that's close to 100 overdoses. In 2020, there were 723 total overdoses through our county, and only 5% of them occurred in our target area. So that's about 36. So we have data that our interventions are working. We know that in our hotspots too, the concentration of overdoses is also going down. It's not just merely the number. One of the things that we currently track is how often a location pops up as an overdose location. So if there is repeat location, like we have one vacant house that's always been a problem, and then we try to take that vacant house down, and then a new one happens. And so we sort of watch these locations become sort of regular locations. In our target area for 2018, 49% of our overdoses occurred in repeat locations. So these are like galleries where people are shooting up a lot. Through all of our work, we've been able to reduce it to 19% for 2020, which is tremendous since it's actually going up in the city, not including our target area, and the county, not including our target area. The homes that are currently in here, the homes that currently occupy a lot of the location are below the value in which you can qualify for a mortgage in this area. So you only attract certain sorts of individuals. There's one street that has like 5 houses on them, and 4 of those 5 houses are owner occupied, but there's space for 40 houses on that street. So you really just have this dichotomy of space. But again, it's an inner city neighborhood, so we do have a large population of renters, which are a difficult population to engage specifically around issues like this because of the transient nature of it. A lot of our community engagement is with owner-occupied owners of homes in the area, because obviously they have the buy-in.